baby, they would have fallen like that. So you need to tilt the head and lift the chin to horizontal. Keep supporting it. Put your mouth round their nose and mouth if you can fit. If they have a big nose and you have a small mouth, you won't be able to. But if you can fit, particularly on the little tiny ones that you're dealing with, it makes it a lot easier. And you would do a puff of your cheeks in, just enough to inflate the chest. So sit around like that and do a puff of the cheeks. 5 breaths. You're giving 5 rescue breaths to reoxygenate the system. And then you're going to be pushing on the chest after. So that's the difference. No, it's for any children.
Okay.
So any babies or children or someone that has had a breathing problem in front of you, because they will need the breaths in order to reoxygenate the system.
And you start with the breaths.
Start with the breaths.
Then you
5 breaths.
Rather than start with the heart.
In an adult, you start by pushing on the chest because you assume, unless you know otherwise, that for an adult they've had a cardiac arrest in front of them.
So with an adult, if they've drowned, do you start with the breath?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it, when you think about it. So in the book and various other things, it's very simplistic. Adult CPR and modifications for child CPR is giving the 5 breaths. But if you think about it as breathing problems versus heart problems, if you do know that information, then it makes sense as to what you're doing and why. So you tilt the head and lift the chin to horizontal. You seal around their mouth and nose, and you 5 quick breaths into them. And now you need to push on their chest, again, in the middle, roughly between the nipples, but it's in the middle of that squishy bit. And you need to be pushing down by 1/3 of the depth of their chest. You will be pushing down. I find it easier with 2 thumbs. You can do it with 2 fingers, you can do it with 4 fingers. It depends what works for you. So you need to be pushing down, and you need to be pushing down by 1/3 of the depth of the chest. 120 beats per minute. Keep going. 32, 32, 32, 32, 32. Okay? Don't stop. Don't think, oh my goodness, have they started coming back to life? You keep
When do you
going.
stop?
Good point.
When
When they start crying,
When they
When
cry and
help
really
comes.
loud.
When what's it?
When help comes.
When help comes. So when an ambulance comes, you would stop. Or when there are very obvious signs of life. And what's the likelihood of that happening?
Pretty low.
If they have choked, or if they have drowned, you can fix them. So if they've choked or drowned, you've got a really good chance of bringing them back to life. If they haven't choked or drowned, then what you are doing is keeping them alive. You are being a life support machine. You're being the heart and the brain, keeping the heart and the brain full of oxygenated blood, and you are keeping them alive. But you shouldn't keep stopping and starting, because then you're not as effectively being a life support machine. So you would keep going until the paramedics arrive with the defib, and the defib makes the real difference. Okay, I'll go into that in a second.
If you get tired, you need someone who takes over, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
no,
say-
very good point.
Yeah.
So if you are sharing with someone, I wouldn't say, well, you do the breaths, because I don't like that bit. We would be doing, I'd be doing compressions, breaths, compressions, breaths, compressions, and back on compressions, going, I'm exhausted! You'd come over. When I'm doing the breaths, you will then do the compressions, breaths, and we change over about every 2 minutes. So it's a rotation rather than a one do one big, because you'll be pushing against each other. Okay? And you know, you can get exhausted whatever age you're doing. For a child, you will again start by breathing into them. So 2 fingers on the chin, 1 hand on the head, tilt the head and lift the chin. Hold the nose, seal your mouth around their mouth, and you breathe in 5 times. And then between the nipples, roughly, or squishy, squishy, centre there, heel of your hand, up over the top, and you need to be pushing down by a third of the depth of their chest. I would probably, for a 5-year-old, start with the heel of my hand, for me. And when I get tired, I will find I need to support like that. And then if the paramedics still haven't arrived and I've got no one to share with, I might need 2 hands, even though I'm on a small child, because I need to be pushing as hard as or with the amount of force that I need to keep pushing the chest down by a third of the depth.
Is this just for 5 and up?
It's for anyone over a year.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. So anyone over a year, you need to be using whatever force you need to push the chest down by a third of the depth. So that's why you're going to be practicing and seeing what you need. So for an adult, it's 5 to 6 centimetres, and for a baby or child, it's a third of the depth of the chest. So it's quite hard because you need to be squeezing to pump the blood round. And you keep going. So 32, 32. When do you phone an ambulance if you're on your own?
Before you start.
For an adult, absolutely. The moment you've identified that they're unconscious and not breathing, you get an ambulance on the way. Because they will need the defib really fast. It's not actually the ambulance you need, it's the paramedic on a motorbike with the defib.
The trouble is, when you do call the ambulance, there's
Yeah.
so many. That's why I felt that there's so many questions you've got to answer that you don't have time to get on and do.
If
the
you
things
say
you decide is
unconscious,
quite-
not breathing,
they
they will be very
Stop,
quiet and
will
get
they?
on with, yeah.
Okay. Fine.
So you're just very assertive. What they need to know is where you are and that it's life-threatening.
Okay.
And then they will cut straight to it.
away.
You will get a paramedic on a motorbike armed with the necessary drugs, equipment and expertise.
Okay.
And the ambulance will follow later. The ambulance is just transport.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, and that gives them the best chance.
What about with children then? When do you ring the ambulance for children?
When you ring an ambulance for children, you need to do 1 minute CPR. So 5 breaths, 30 to 2, 30 to 2, and then get the ambulance on the way.